voices meet at the edge of the line. One sees the ocean, the other the pine. Grounded in truth with a spark in their eye, they bridge the divide where the answers lie. Blue dot, red state, the stories unfold, where the heart meets the mind and the truth is bold. Different roads travel, but the same sky above. In the colors of discord, they paint with love.
Well, welcome to episode one of Blue Dot Red State. And just for a disclaimer for everyone, Blue Dot Red State really means that I'm leaning blue in a very conservative state of South Dakota. I am Billy Mawhiney. I am currently running for Congress in South Dakota, and I'm just having real conversations with real people talking about real things. But the disclaimer is these guests that we have on from time to time do not have the same views as a blue dot red state. So I just want to make that disclaimer. They're coming on to share their own topics, their own things, and just what's happening in their lives. So I want to introduce some folks I know. Malachi and Ashley. So hi,
Hi.
and friend.
Yeah,
Yes.
and this is Enid. It's our
Mm,
1-year-old daughter, Enid. She's no,
hello.
she's not.
Oh,
But, yeah,
no.
Ashley is not a South Dakota native. She was born in California and raised in Utah. Did you want to tell me a little
Okay.
bit about that?
My dad was military, so my mom was originally from Rapid City, and
Oh, awesome.
they met. He was or not deployed. He was stationed in California, had me, and then after a couple of years, that we were stationed to Clinton, Utah. So that's where I
Okay.
grew up.
That's where you grew up.
And yeah, I grew up there. I lived there for about 19 years or so. And my mom decided she wanted to move back home. So I've been here
Yeah.
since 2017.
I can understand that. Yeah. Living in South Dakota by choice, right? And I think that's an
Yes,
important factor sometimes. Yeah.
absolutely.
So you guys are fairly new parents, right?
Yeah,
And talk to us
still
about
learning
that.
how to be. New parents. Really, we had a lot of deliberation between each other about where we wanted to grow up and raise a family because when we got married, we knew we wanted to have a family, and that's like the next biggest decision about your child's life is where they grow up. I did grow up here in Rapid City, and Ashley grew up in Utah for a majority of her life. My parents were also military, and they stayed here in South Dakota for a reason, and they never really disclosed that reason why. But I see the reason to stay in South Dakota, especially Rapid, where I'm from, for raising a kid. I think it's a wonderful and a useful and a well knit community that is, I don't know, it's a wonderful place to raise a kid.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
So,
more. Um,
yeah. But there
yeah.
was a lot of thoughts and arguments that went into where we decided to live.
Well, it's a tough decision, I'll be honest. Like I mean, I know that being a parent myself of a couple young men, like it's hard to decide where and how you're going to raise your kids, right? I think we
Mhm.
put a lot, I think newer families are really putting a lot of effort into that. I'm not saying that our parents didn't put in the same effort. I don't know if they did or they didn't, but I know that current families are putting a lot of effort in like how or why or what goes into where we're going to raise our children. So I think I totally
Yeah,
understand where you're coming from.
that's because raising children, in my opinion, is inherently a community thing as well. The community that they grow up in is a huge portion of how they understand themselves and their life and the values that they grow up with too.
Yeah.
And we
Okay.
love those South Dakota values.
We do. Absolutely. So thanks for joining me today. This podcast is really just sitting and talking about what's going on in your world or what's happening and what you would like to talk about. This is unedited. We're not editing the conversation piece of it. We throw a little music before our conversation. We throw a little music after it, but the entire time we're going to make mistakes. And there's going to be little blurbs here and there. We might laugh quite a bit, or I don't know, we might even cry. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is just a conversation that is undirected, and I'm going to lean on you to maybe say what's on your mind.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, on my side, at least, I have been in the education world for about 6 years now, and that's always been a primary focus of my concern. I work with title schools and impoverished students primarily, and really, a lot of those funds are funds directly from the federal government. That's a huge concern for making sure the students in the rural communities and also my community in Rapid is really important to me. And those are decisions. And I'm really curious about your stance on the importance of these and how South Dakota can get its portion to make sure its people are taken care of in the education world.
Right. Well, my entire career, I mean, we've known each other for a little while, Malachi, and my entire career has been in education, mostly focused on out of school time, right? I started working for a Boys and Girls Club. Actually, I started working for a Boys and Girls Club as a work study during school. And I just loved working in that field. I decided I didn't want to work in the library. That didn't really appeal to me. I thought working in after school seemed a lot cooler and fit my personality just a little bit better. Um, and we do know that. We do know that the only real stream of funding in South Dakota for out of school time specifically is federal funding, right? We have child care subsidy that is matched locally. We have minimal match that come, there's federal dollars that come in, and then we have minimal match from the state that helps parents if you can't afford that, but you have to meet a certain guideline. And it's also kind of tough sometimes to meet some of that rigorous threshold of what it is. Sometimes the application process is not the easiest aspect, especially if you're a single parent. You have to open cases. You have to do some other stuff that goes through the state to do that. But federally, there's only one stream, that 21st century, that kind of goes into that after school and education piece. And that really focuses on a lot of title school, right? It's a formula aspect of what that is. Um, but I guess in my question, what question would you have specifically? Is there something deep that's like sitting in your head about like what you'd like to know a little bit more about, like where I'm coming from or where I think?
Yeah, I primarily look at it from a workforce side as well because originally I didn't start out in education. Like my wife, she works for a larger company that's run by General Electrics, and they work as a call center here in Rapid. And really, um, the way South Dakota's work and job economy, it's also solely based on the ability to make sure kids have access to childcare after school and also education, because that's what allows parents to be productive and go to work and be a part of the workforce, because their kids are able to participate in these safe, great programs. And I'm curious primarily about, how is there anything you want to see more for South Dakota in that range? Do you think there's more we can be doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now, well, just to speak of like the 21st century, I'm going to start there and then I'm going to go back just a little bit. So, if we're going to speak of 21st century funding, um, it's been stagnant, right? We're in level funding, which we're really happy about as far as like nationally is concerned, right? It's not going down in a world that kind of federal funding is pretty rocky, especially with this current administration, right? We don't know who's getting cut and who's not getting cut. It doesn't seem like there is a formula of where money is going away and where money is staying. And so everyone feels a little uneasy about that aspect of it. But we're basically running the same levels of funding for the past 4 or 5 years. Well, in all fairness, that's pretty much a loss because considering the amount of inflation that we've experienced over the last 4 or 5 years, that's really not it. If we haven't increased, that really hasn't helped in that aspect of it. But to relate, like out of school time, education, title with also being parents, there's two things I will say statistically that if any, this is advice I would give to any parent ever, 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 ever. There's two things statistically you can do for your child to make them the most successful in the world. The first thing is have a meal together. And I know that sounds like the most simple and craziest thing to do, but it's true. Whether it's dinner at the dinner table, whether it's breakfast based on your schedule, I don't know what it is. Maybe you go to school and have lunch with your kid. Whatever that means, maybe it's going for a walk in the evening because that's what works out for you. But having that adult connection piece inside of your family is very, very important to having successful kids. The second piece is putting a kid in an after school program. If you do those two things, your child is going to just be successful. I mean, this is just statistics, right? We know that if a kid's in an after school program, their grades are increased, their attendance are increased, they're going to graduate on time, they're going to have higher paying jobs, their self-esteem is improved, their well-being is improved, their health is improved. All these things are increased. Is it on an individual basis? No. On a macro scale, yes. So those seem like such simple thing. Does every child need an after school program? Absolutely not. Does every family need an after school program? No, that isn't necessarily always true. But I would also say out loud, an after school program and education, one after school is not an extended day of the extended part of the school day. Meaning we don't need to add 3 hours to a school day. It doesn't need to look and feel exactly the same. Because the data will also tell you that whatever the school day is, whether it's, sorry, the data behind after school statistics say if it's enriching or if it's educational, meaning like enrichment, meaning like they're playing with Legos, it's educational, but it's not necessarily doing math worksheets, right? That's a simple version of it. It doesn't matter whether it's either one, they're still going to have the same effect overall. So those are two things that families can do to to do that. And if we know that those are the two things we can do, then why are we not investing? If we believe that we want to improve families' lives overall, then why are we not investing more funding into this? I mean, currently the education, like if you look at federal funding, education is 2% of the budget, right? Like this is, and we're slicing it down. I mean, the states already have local authority of education. The Department of Education, this idea that the Department of Education is the dismantling of it is going to help states be more. Yes, we can cut a lot of red tape, right? We've all had federal grants where you have 17 things you had to do twice, probably because you didn't need to. So there's a lot of things we could do to fix life easier, but we could double the number of after school programs because for every program, there's four kids. For every one kid in a program, there's four kids waiting. Did I answer your question or did I just ramble on about random things?
I think you answered the underlying portion of the question. Maybe not the question itself, but the
Okay.
underlying portion. I can draw, or we can draw our own conclusion, I think, from that.
Mhm.
Another thing that's at least important to us that other states have less of is like South Dakota keeping part of its like autonomy compared to other states. We have lower taxes as a state. We have a budget surplus compared to other states. And I know on some level that this is part of the federal's doing and also the representative and senators that we have and also local and state authorities all have a portion of it. But I'm curious, is that a plan for you to keep? Is that I because I think it's a core part of like South Dakota identity.
Yeah. Oh, there's without a doubt, South Dakota wants to always be South Dakota, right? And I think that goes, honestly, I believe that for anyone. I mean, if we're gonna take what most South Dakotans would probably say to the other side of the table, which is probably a California, right? Or probably maybe a New York or something that's probably on really leaning on blue or left. They also want to be New York or California in their own realm, right? They want to be their own state and have their own autonomy to make their own regulations and do their own thing for the most part. I mean, there are times when we are a state of South Dakota, and there are times when we are a country of America, right? So there's going to be times where we have to come together for some, and there's going to have be times when we have to be alone and be our own thing. And those are going to vary on different issues, but at the end, we still get to be South Dakota. And I think we've done a great job. I do think our representatives and congressional people and senators have done a good job of like maintaining autonomy, and I will continue on if elected.
And then also, there's just one last thing that we kind of have concerns about because we have a ranch out in Piedmont. It's about 60 acres of land, and a huge portion of how we hay and all that sort of stuff. That's an important part of like our life to the horses that we have and the chickens and everything like that. Um, the agricultural side, South Dakota plays a huge part in the agricultural committees and making sure the states get what they need. I know that's a huge part of being a representative from South Dakota. I just want to put pen to paper and know that you also support the agricultural and rural economy that South Dakota has its heart in.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Like you can't drive 10 miles without seeing agriculture in South Dakota, no matter if you're in Sioux Falls or Rapid City, right? Like that's what you're going to see. You can't be a part of South Dakota without understanding that ag is a huge industry. It is the industry of South Dakota, right? Like it is where we wrap our feelings in. It's where we wrap our soul in. It's where we kick our heels into the dirt, right? It's more than that. It's where we invest our souls. So yes. So to be honest, I know do I have to start investing more into knowing what soybean prices are? Yes. Because was that something that I invested in 3 years ago? I probably didn't, not on a daily basis. I mean, that's just the honest truth because it for me, it didn't affect me in a daily basis, but it certainly will affect me, and it what did affect me. I just didn't pay attention to it, to be honest. But it certainly will affect the folks that I would be able to serve and serve with. So, yeah, there's a lot more investment into and a lot more learning I have to do, and it's meeting with folks like you that matters.
Oh, that's reassuring. Just because since it's the one of the most important parts of South Dakota economy, and I think South Dakota has a much more fragile economy compared to others because of our lower population. If one thing affects farmers and ranchers, the rest of the state is going to feel the repercussions of those actions made. It's just the way it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I mean, right now, well, like cattle ranchers are feeling pretty good right now, right? Like they're like prices are up for them right now, but everyone else is not feeling great. But also that beef price is also on a cliff, right? At some point, it's going to fall, and what's going to happen? Or if you do sell off some to make some money, the buyback is the same thing, right? Like it's high buyback right now. So what are you going to do? So it's affecting everyone. And it definitely does affect how we make business, and everyone's feeling it. It's certainly hitting consumers, right? Right now, when you go to buy a package of ground beef at the grocery store, it's hitting you there. So it's really tough in that regard.
And then I just
Ashley, I
wanted
haven't heard from you. Yeah.
I know. I was just about to ask a question. I was gonna say I just wanted to know what your South Dakota values were.
Well, that's a one grit, right? I think that's a big part of what it is. I think one, family is so important to me. They're a really big part of what we do at home is we eat dinner together. And we do that almost every single day because we have to, right? We stay connected, we look out for each other, and we help our neighbors. And sometimes that's community, right? We call each other neighbors by community. Maybe that's our coworkers. Maybe that's just people we meet down the street, right? I was in Costco yesterday grabbing some stuff, and a lady had two cards. Good for her. But I didn't have that much stuff, and it's just saying, "Hey, would you like some help?" And she was like, yes. So it's just helping people, right? Like it's just making the effort instead of passing folks by. I think that's a true value of South Dakota is like, and don't pass people by. Just see what they need, help them out. I'm not a big builder wall person. I'm a big builder table person.
Oh, thank you very much. I think we have a
Oh,
better understanding about what you need to know and what you already know, and have a good understanding of at least the first points you're going to be charging with.
no, I appreciate you guys. You threw a couple at me that I wouldn't say I was necessarily ready for, and I appreciate that. A couple things I'm gonna have to go back and look at, so I'll probably follow up with you. But thank you for taking the time today, especially busy, obviously. And maybe we'll see you guys again.
See you.